be telling us that we need to be something, we need to do something, we need to feel something. And the gospel message that speaks the clarity into the culture of confusion is not do, feel, and think so you'll be accepted. It's you're accepted. Now do, feel, and think. That's the clarity that breaks through the worldview white noise. Right from the beginning, we see Adam and Eve ruining paradise by inviting sin and death into the world that was meant to be good. A hopeless case. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers for his pride and put in prison. A hopeless case. Moses was cornered on the banks of the Red Sea with the most powerful army at his back and getting closer every second. A hopeless case. Gideon was 300 against 300,000. A hopeless case. David stood across a field looking up at a giant in full armor. Esther was an ordinary subject trying to gain a word with the king. Daniel got thrown into a pit of bloodthirsty lions. His friends were tossed in a furnace. Jonah was pretty much the worst prophet that had ever existed, and he got eaten by a fish. Peter was a coward. Paul was in prison. The 5,000 were stuck in a country with no food. Lazarus was dead. Timothy was too young. Abraham was too old. The youngest son was too stupid. The walls of Jericho were too strong. And Jesus was humiliated, murdered on a cross, buried in a tomb, seemingly burying the movement that had been anticipated for thousands of years. When we seem at the end of our rope, stuck on a cliff, options exhausted, the gospel speaks the clarity into the confusion. Those are the moments exactly where God is planning on showing up. Not because we're an influencer, not because we're the smartest or the most popular or the most athletic or the best, but because the message of Scripture is that you matter more than you are matter. Because Joseph becomes second in command to Pharaoh, the Red Sea parts, Gideon wins without lifting a weapon. Goliath was too big not to fall on his head and wound up on a plate. Esther spoke and the king listened. The lions ended up being tame. The oven felt like room temperature. Nineveh repented. Peter became the rock. Paul rejoiced. 12 buckets were left over. Lazarus walked out of the grave. Timothy built a church. Abraham built a family. The youngest son came home to a party. The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. And Jesus rose from the dead, defeating sin and death